Nothing ever came of it. The cries of the people for more food, for even a spare scrap from the rich as they dined like kings, were drowned out by the city guard slamming dissenters to the ground. He wasn't going to rule like that. If he had control over nothing else, he'd take control over this. Food production will be my first priority, he promised them. I was just about to head to the crystal chamber, so I'll figure something out. "We not work for free, Lord Keaton," the hobgoblin announced. "Until new food come, we stay here and eat all mushrooms." Keaton bit back the first retort that came to mind. Apparently his goblins were staging a protest. That was fine. Just part of making actual deals with sentient beings instead of just subjugating them. If he couldn't handle it, he didn't deserve his title. That was what he would tell himself anyway. And the thought he kept in mind as aggravation threatened to strangle him. "Just don't kill each other over them," he said through clenched teeth, before leaving the mushroom farm, his stomach growling in protest. He made his way to the crystal chamber, planning to interface with the crystal and see if there was anything that could be built to help the process. As early as it was, though, Keaton quickly discovered he was apparently one of the last people awake. "Lord Keaton," Adriana greeted with a smile, "I am pleased to see you are awake. I was unsure what toll exhaustion would have taken on you, and I did not wish to rouse you before you had time to recover." Was he recovered? He honestly didn't know. But there were things to be done, regardless. "Have you both been up for a while?" "My warriors start training before dawn," Cassia said with a shrug, a cup of that stolen wine in her hand. It was a wonder they hadn't downed it all last night. "And my kind do not need much sleep. The tales of my ancestors being incredibly lazy are just that. Stories designed to trick foolish knights into thinking they can walk into a dragon's lair and steal his hoard." "Huh. I guess that explains why none of them ever come back in one piece." He shook his head, clearing away the tangent his brain wanted to take. "It looks like almost everyone here wakes up pretty early. I'll have to train myself to do the same. In the meantime, there are things we need to discuss." "Like how this flabby body needs to join me for training?" Cassia asked, poking at his arm. "Hey, just because I have a few ounces of body fat doesn't mean I'm flabby. Though, that might not be such a bad idea. It is always wise for a dungeon lord to build up his martial prowess. Even those that command anima are served by such training," Adriana said. "However, I imagine Lord Keaton has an interest in building up the dungeon to make future struggles less catastrophic," he supplied. "I was going to be more generous, but yes." Cassia let out a soft snort. "If you're still going to beat yourself up over the loss of Imvola warriors who died doing what they were born to do, you and I are going to have a talk. And by talk, it's not just them," Keaton said, "though they'd certainly suffered the most casualties. Our invasion of the slithering crypt was sloppy, and I only have myself to blame for that. We need to be better prepared for next time, if there even is a next time." "Of course there will be a next time," the Imvola warrior said. "Other dungeon lords will challenge your authority, or they will have resources we need to grow." Keaton stopped himself from flinching. That was what Itrix wanted, of course. Conquest. Bloodshed. He'd almost think she was a goddess of war or suffering, not a goddess of chaos. But maybe an upstart dungeon lord unseating those who'd been there for years was chaos enough. Either way, Keaton had complicated feelings about the whole thing. He started to confess those feelings, to tell his lieutenants what happened, when he stopped himself. Cassia agreed with Itrix, whether she knew it or not. What would she think of him fighting against such a thing? She'd probably call him weak, tell him he was agonizing over nothing. Maybe he was, but the thought of arguing that point with her gave him pause. So instead he swept it under the rug and focused on what he'd actually come here to do. "The goblins are staging a protest.